Are you tired of having YouTubers advertise you terrible builds with terrible champions? Then we got a fix for you, and now let's talk about 5 OP champions for this patch, and let's start with Tristana. Tristana is a very broken champion that scales into the later stages of the game but features one thing other AD carries don't have, a super high burst window on level 5. As most AD carries nowadays run Ghost, Tristana is having a field day, because if you don't run Exhaust into Tristana, she will instantly kill you on level 5 or even previously. For items, you don't want to fall into the trap of Shield Bow, you want Phantom Dancer into Infinity Edge. This will provide you the highest burst damage possible without hurting your scaling at all. You'll buy Shield Bow later because you don't really need it to outrange most of the other champions, and this is exactly why Tristana is so good. As the game goes on, she'll hit AD carries before they can hit her, and therefore you'll win games or fights before they even start. For other AD carries who feature no mobility, it's all about survival, and for Jhin we have a special build for you. You'll run Shield Bow into Infinity Edge. Most of the people will ask me, why are you not running Collector? Collector will grant you damage, yes, but it will not grant you survivability, which is the most important stat for an AD carry when it comes to fighting, and especially with no mobility. In the early stages of the game, Collector will barely grant you any damage since it's percentage based, and the armor pen is a joke compared to the armor growth in the game. However, Shield Bow and Infinity Edge will grant you the highest possible damage with the highest survivability at the same time, which allows you to scale safely into the later stages of the game. Don't forget, Jhin is a bully in the laning phase and scales from early to mid to late game like an absolute machine, making him the best AD carry in the current patch. Our next champion is Camille, at the very pinnacle of the Baron laners. Her laning phase is absolutely absurd with her second ability Spam. This way she can neutralize or take over all matchups in the Baron lane, and if things go and be too dire, she can just take up Fleet Footwork and just sustain through every laning phase in combination with Second Wind. For items, you want to focus on Divine Sundra and Hullbreaker. Camille is a hyper-scaling champion that has side lane pressure. If she's left alone, she'll take down tower similar to Jax, and if she goes to a teamfight, she can lock down any AD carry of choice with just a single press of a single button. Exactly this makes her so powerful. Not to mention, she also features a lot of high damage and is super tanky, which will take AD carries a lot of time to kill her, which in return enables her AD carries to deal more damage to the enemies. Our next champion is a jungler, and he features one specific thing: the ability to deal either with full tanks or one-shot enemy squishies, and it's Kayn. Kayn has one certain strategy which you need to abuse to make him even stronger. Start with Shimmering Spark. To accelerate your form gain, every source of damage dealt to enemies grants you points for your form. For this, Shimmering Spark will help you out gladly. Every single time you hit an enemy champion, or if you're around enemy champions while you're in combat, this item will deal damage around you and therefore grants your stacks to your form even faster. It doesn't matter if you deal 5 or 10 damage or even 1 damage, as long as you deal damage to people, you'll still get stacks for your form and therefore an accelerated form gain. As your go-to strategy therefore, you will invade the enemy on cooldown, taking your form as fast as possible. On the scoreboard you might be looking like you have a little bit of accidents, like being 0-3, but once you get your form you'll take over the game instantaneously after. The damage you'll gain from your form is just too unbalanced, and then you'll go into specific items to make you even stronger. With the Youmuu's Ghostblade into Manamune, you'll have the scaling and snowball potential to take over the map and be anywhere at any point in time and counter gank or over gank people constantly. As a quick reminder, as a Kayn you want to go red Kayn into a full tank or bruiser composition, and blue Kayn into squishies or other assassins. Red Kayn features the damage to take down any tank or bruiser without any problem once he's in their range, and blue Kayn will have no trouble getting into range of anyone since he can permanently hide in walls and spam his second ability on cooldown to annoy people, chunk them out and get them killed. Our last champion is one of the most broken mages in the game as of now, and it's Swain. This champion storms in any melee matchup in the Baron lane and gains infinite stacks over time. In the mid lane, he features enough damage to instantly kill an enemy that is tagged by his third ability and pulled back into him. He scales very brutally into the mid and late game and offers super high burst damage upon targets of choice. Nonetheless, he features one certain key weakness, and it's about his range. To mitigate this range and this issue, you want to go for Rod of Ages to gain more health and more sustain to go for longer fights. Afterwards, you want to pick up the Rabadon Staff Cap to put really much emphasis on the burst damage identity of your champion, and then you can one-tap anything that comes into your way and is hit by any of your spells. As a secret tip, your champion is absolutely broken into bruisers. They cannot get away from you because if they want to fight you and kill you, they need to deal damage to you and therefore they need to be in range. However, for AD carries, you need flash most of the time, or you need to lock them down, and once you do so, you'll instantly kill them, which makes Swain so unbelievably broken, especially with Rod of Ages and Rabadon Staff Cap. And that wraps up today's video. Thank you all for watching and see you soon for more RiftGuides content.